This is Shu Hirata's Let's Talk Japanese Fight Sports with Charlie Jewett from sogokaku.com. Let's begin. Hey, Charlie.
Hey, Shu, how you doing?
Good. Good evening to everyone and good morning to everyone in Japan. And we're back. Last one was in about a month ago, but we're back. All right. So which topic should we talk about first? Should we just dive into Super Rizin 4 preview? Charlie's freezing.
Is it me freezing, or is it? I can't tell which one of us is freezing.
Yeah, but I can hear you now.
Okay.
All right. So I'm assuming, did you watch the entire Super Rizin on pay-per-view from America?
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. I mean, of course, we have to talk about the main event, which is the Asakura versus Koike.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, again, I'm pretty impressed that Mikuru took this fight to begin with, and not only that, he won, and he's actually shooting towards the title fight, you know?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think he's smart in a way that he's trying to get rid of that loss against Ren Hiramoto. And the only way for him to do that is to maybe become a champion, right?
Right.
Yeah. And he even asked to fight Keramov next, you know? So I think he's trying to get the loss back.
I think he's kind of going on a tour of fighting everyone he lost to and trying to get those wins back.
Right, and eventually get to the title fight. So if he does that, I think he could get rid of that loss against Ren.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Ren is out on injury, so he's trying to kind of push Ren out of the entire story now, right? Basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think that loss.
Oh, you froze again.
Let me move.
Yeah. Okay.
Try a different room.
But anyways, I think one topic we need to talk about is the decisions, because right after that fight, Koike declared that he did not lose that fight, and many fans are arguing that maybe Kleber was attacking all the time. All that Mikuru did was defending. So why Mikuru won that fight? And I mean, how did you just score that fight, Charlie? If you can hear me.
My general impression was it was a really close fight, but I would never rule it like a robbery, if that makes sense. Because, I mean, I don't think Koike did enough to convince me he won.
Right, and I think remember we talked about it. Rizin's criteria for judging is usually they value damage first and generalship after that. But it seems like they value generalship more than anything else, right?
I think what we've seen is that because they're so stingy in scoring damage, most fights end up being won based off generalship. And if you look at that factor, Mikuru kind of dictated where the fight took place.
Yeah, he did. He did dictate it. And in terms of damage, he may have caused more.
Yeah, but none of the judges awarded damage points. The fight was won exclusively on generalship.
Yeah, it was, right. Oh, Jesus, who is this? Okay. Yeah, exactly. So I think it was a win for Mikuru, and it was a win for Mikuru in an entire way, in a sense that now he can call for his opponents in New Year's Eve, right? He's dictating the storyline.
Okay, because it doesn't. The crowd went nuts when he won. So I mean, and doesn't really have a legitimate argument because he never had Mikuru in danger at any point in that fight. It was absolutely Mikuru's fight, because I think the reason Mikuru won is whenever Koike pulled guard or something like that, it looked like Mikuru was in control. He was in top position. And then Mikuru would stand up and decide to stand. So he was the one that dictated where the fight took place.
Yeah, totally. So I think in general, nobody's really complaining, right? About the now. So besides that main event, I think we have to cover the fact that now they're trying to make Tatsuya Ando kind of big deal in the bantamweight.
Right. Yeah.
And I always thought that Ando was a very talented fighter from the days when he was in that road to UFC Japan show. You know, which was what, like 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. I forgot.
Yeah. Mm.
And also, I think we have to talk about Nomura, who beat Pitbull without no damage.
Yeah, he actually did very good. One of the judges actually awarded him the 50 damage points. So, I mean, he landed some giant shots on him and had a very impressive performance.
And he was designated to be an next challenger, but unfortunately he got injured. So instead of him, Poirier is fighting for the title.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But this kid Nomura is impressive. I mean, what do you think about that?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Okay. Sorry, that phone was from my father. I have to call him after this. My father is like 93 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, so Nomura is definitely a new star, right? In rising in terms of lightweight. Yeah. And so I think rising is successfully creating a new set of talents, right? Through all these fights.
Yeah.
And I thought the Super Rising 4, I mean, they divided shows into like 3 parts. They had the 3 different openings, you know? So
Yeah.
as a show, it was an interesting, completed show. And first part was the Flyweight Grand Prix. Second part was the, main event was a Bantamweight title fight, And the last part was about, Mikuru, Clever, and Nomura, Pitbull, and, a couple of the so-called, I wouldn't call it influencers, but those guys who is popular in the social media too.
Right.
Yeah. So besides Nomura Pitbull fight and the Ando fight and the main event, I mean, any fight it stands out in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, the fights that are worth noticing. I mean, the heavyweight Grand Prix was kind of forgettable, so we don't talk about that. But
they're making fun about heavyweight Grand Prix, right? They're like openly blaming on Shingo to pick those big guys who does boring fights and blah blah blah.
Well, he had no choice, right? It wasn't who the promotion sent over.
Well, I mean, what it is, like, they did approach each promotion to send their own champion. So that was a strategy for them. So
Yeah.
Right. So, but I fight was not that exciting. Yeah.
But I thought my favorite fight on the card was the Kanehara Yaman fight.
Kanehara. Oh yeah, exactly. And remember the Kanehara Yaman fight? Sorry. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yeah.
Yeah, I got off for some reason. Anyway, yeah, let's talk about Kanehara Yaman fight. And right after that fight, what's more called it? Yaman puked into the bucket. Do you remember that? And yeah, he gave everything he had, and he had a girlfriend who is the hostess. She was on the ringside. And now, what do you think about this fight?
I thought it was a great fight because it was like the perfect retirement fight. Because Kanehara lost, he passed the next generation, but he looked really good doing it. He had his moments in the fight. He was able to hang his head high, he gave everything he had, and it was an exciting fight. I mean, it was a classic striker versus grappler matchup.
Grappler, right. And it was obvious at the end that Kanehara was running out of gas big time. It's not like his skill got killed or anything like that. It was just really pure a stamina issue. Right? I mean, I could tell that he really couldn't have anything left. He really didn't have it. So, but it's same as Yaman, obviously, because he gave everything he had. That's why he ended up puking in the bucket right after that. Yeah. So again, Rizin is creating an interesting talent that sells tickets, obviously, right, and and grabs attentions of the fans.
No, I mean, this was a great fight. Plus, they had kind of the funny backstory with the hostess in the background, and I think people latched onto that in confession videos, so they're going to keep running with that just to make Yaman more interesting outside of the ring.
Right. And it's like way Rizin. I mean, from the prior days, and the way they promote fighters are completely different from what UFC does here. So they try to showcase fighters under the different light usually, right? And that's, I think, is doing well now. Yeah, I think that applies to Yaman because he's not exactly the title contender or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, he's the type of fighter that at least at this point in his career, he's not like a title challenger, but he's a fun enough fighter. He's an interesting enough personality that he's worth investing in.
And the point is, he did beat Mikuru.
Yeah.
And it's the same concept of Ren too. He did beat Mikuru. So in a way, Mikuru has been actually creating talents in Rizin. I mean, that's the one way to look at it, right?
Well, Yaman is always, I think, Mikuru's like real weak point is actually strikers that are better than him.
Yes.
It might have been interesting if Kleber had decided to stay on the feet more with him and see what actually happened in that regard. But yeah.
Right. Because Kleber is, I mean, he's unorthodox, I would say, in terms of the style, but he's not exactly a bad striker, actually. He can strike, Yeah. Now, I got to talk about this. Now, besides this fight, since I mentioned Ando earlier, what do you thought about Naoki versus Fukuda?
I mean, was it the most exciting fight in the world? No, but it takes two to tango. And I think Naoki was able to stick on the outside and just hit him with kicks and punches, and there's nothing that he could do about it. And if it wasn't
exactly. Again, the first question I had to Naoki right after that fight was, I asked him, so how come you didn't grab him, take him down? And his reply was that where Fukuda sprawls out, when he's sweating, that's very effective. So since he was sweating, he decided to, stay on feet and stick with the winning, But my second question is, how often do you fight a fighter who's not sweating anyway?
I mean, Naoki looked almost flawless with his game plan. I mean, he put a bunch of damage on him. He would open up when he wanted to, and almost took no damage in return.
Yeah. But here's what it is. I asked same question to the cornerman, and the cornerman said the same thing. They told him to go take him down to the ground on third round and finish it. Because he probably could have, right? I mean, he probably much superior on the ground game. But again, I think he kind of wanted to beat Fukuda in his own game, which is a striking game, right? It's like that always. But here's what is interesting. After the fight, at the post-fight interview, Manabu from MMA Planet asked him this question. When you hurt Fukuda on the second round, how come you didn't go for a finish? And Naoki's answer was, well, cornerman said to don't rush it. And I think it was a good decision. It was a good advice that the cornerman said that, so I didn't really rush it, and then stay in a good pace, blah, blah, blah. But then Manabu said that, well, even though that was your cornerman and coach's advice, directions, maybe sometime you need to step up right there, gear it up and finish it. And that becomes, makes you a top fighter instead of a regular top fighter. And I actually kind of agree, Well, so I shot, line message to Manabu saying, man, thank you for, throwing that question.
I kind of agree with the question. The point with this was the last fight in his contract, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's another point.
So I feel like if it's the last fight in your contract, you kind of want to end it with an animation point.
That, exactly. But not only that, here's the bottom line. All of his Naoki's fights, a record on Rizin. He has a good performance, winning only over a Japanese fighters. Right? He lost to Achilera. And of course he lost to Ogikubo. So if you're Sean Shelby, how do you value him, really?
Right.
I mean, sure, he's a rising bantamweight champion, only bantamweight champion in history who defended the title twice, or even defended the title, period. However, from UFC's point of view, it's not like he has a draw like Kai Asakura, right? Asakura scored incredible numbers probably against Pantoja, but I don't think Naoki will pull that kind of numbers. So what do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
do you mind if I log off? I'm going to try to log in real quick and see if I'm having a weird lag. Give me 1 second.
okay.
I apologize.
That's okay. But meanwhile, so since Charlie's gone, I'm going to be speaking alone. But point I kind of wanted to talk to Charlie, which I will when he comes back, is that so now Naoki has a choice to make, and he has a 2-month exclusive negotiation period. Means I cannot make calls to anybody else. And in terms of, especially for the Japanese business, of course, I have to give Rising an opportunity to place an offer. So I think that is going to happen within a couple of weeks. Hey, Charlie, you're back. Are you back? All right, can you hear me?
My volume isn't working. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You look nice and clear, too. Yeah. So I was talking to myself, to the listeners of our show, that the big question here is this: that he's on right now currently on the exclusive negotiation period for 2 months. So I'm not going to be allowed to call anybody. And in the sense of a Japanese way, or even any business way, I have to give a Rising a first opportunity to place the offer. So, and this means that if we decide to sit out during the exclusive negotiation period and begin negotiating once we enter into the matching period, and that means that Naoki will probably not be able to fight this year because either even he go to Rizin or UFC or whatever that is, he may be too late to get matched for this year. So he wants to keep active, earn money. His choice maybe should or could be to choose Rising quickly so he can fight maybe one more time at least this year, and maybe another time early next year and see. So that's something I have to discuss with Naoki. And here you go. How is it, Charlie? Okay. Well, you try. I can still hear you. Can you hear me? I can hear you and see you, Charlie.
Working now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I apologize. That's way better than it was before.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I was saying that so Naoki is on a 2-month exclusive negotiation period. So he, we would have to talk to Rising, during that time before I make any calls. And I was explaining to the fact that if he decides to sit out that 2 months and see what's the opportunity out there during the matching period, that may be causing a problem in a way that it will be too late for him to get matched this year, even though he stays in Rising or end up going somewhere else, right? So he wants to keep it busy. He may or could choose, Rising, a couple more fights, and do UFC after that, or I mean, what do you think? I mean, I know Naoki would want to go back to UFC eventually, but what would your advice to be to Naoki?
Well, I mean, his last performance from a technical standpoint was, I think, nearly flawless.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't like the exclamation point. So that's kind of the one detracting factor. He didn't get a dynamic finish or anything. That being said, unless he can fight people who are higher caliber people that would attract UFC attention, I don't see the reason not to go directly to the UFC if that's what you want to do.
Right. And obviously, I think if Naoki decides to stay, I know for the fact that Rising will ask him to fight the winner of Sato and Sabatero. Right?
And that's the type of fight, yet again, where I don't know if those fighters are really on the UFC's radar anymore.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? Like, especially if Sato wins, if it's against Sato, that's a rematch for him.
Right.
Right? So I can only think of one name, actually, that possibly the Rising could book for him for New Year's Eve. and it would have to be a Sergio Pettis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I think if Rizin can bring in Pettis as his opponents on New Year's Eve, I think it makes sense for him to stay.
Yeah, because that's a big enough fight where win or lose, that's just a good fight to have on your resume.
Exactly.
Especially if you're trying to get into the Western market.
But we'll see what Naoki says. And I can't review how much he makes. So he makes very good money in Rizin. And my gut feeling here is that not sure if the US will match that, you know? Yeah, so that's also an issue too. But again, Naoki's the type of guy, he'll probably take a 50% pay cut.
Dude, don't say that out loud. They may be listening. Don't say that out loud.
No, but I would never accept that anyway. So
no, but it's also, I mean, you know more about this than me, but this could be perfect timing because the UFC has almost quietly built up a little bit of a Japanese roster now. And they may be wanting just a couple more fighters than, not necessarily in Japan, but they could do a show like in Australia or in Asia and kind of have a Japanese element to those cards.
Yeah, and you know, eventually they might even try another UFC Japan show, right? While Asakura is still, you know, kind of active in UFC. I mean, who knows? Guys like that, if he doesn't win 2 or 3, he might not be active, right? And well, I mean, Horiguchi still hasn't come back yet, but they're probably going to match pretty soon, right? You know.
Well, I mean, it'd be smart because some of these fighters, I mean, clearly they're not as popular as Kai Asakura in Japan, but if you put the other Japanese fighters on the same card as Kai Asakura, the Japanese fight fans will watch those fights too.
Of course.
And that'll build their exposure. And I'm sure that it would increase the UFC's value for when they come around to renegotiate their deal with you next.
Yeah. I mean, the point is if they were going to do a UFC Japan show, I think it's obvious that they would have to match Kai against Taira. I mean, it only makes sense, right? Because they need to promote Taira more. Unfortunately, he's not knowing the Japanese market. But it's very common, right? I mean, for those fighters in UFC. So, yeah, I totally agree. And since you mentioned, you know, Japanese guys in UFC, let's talk about all these various Japanese fighters in UFC August shows. Now, to begin, Taira and Mia Nakamura won. And they both won in a very good way. But, you know, I kind of felt bad for Taira because, you know, he got a last-minute replacement because of the medical issues of his opponent, and he ended up, you know, fighting a rookie. And that happened, a couple of times in his career in UFC. He ended up fighting somebody right off the Contender Series kind of stuff. So, you know, he's good, impressive. You can't deny his record, but he only had a couple of fights against top 15.
I know, but there's nothing he can really do about that. It's just one of those things where the fighter changed. He finished the guy. So, I mean, it's another video clip that they can add to his UFC highlight video when they're promoting him. So I think it wasn't a sucky situation, but he made the best out of it. I mean, he beat an undefeated up-and-comer. I mean, I guess that's that. But I agree with you. He hasn't really beaten the top guys in the division yet. But
but do you think he deserves the title shot next after the winner of Pantoja and Van? I mean, I think he should, you know, because who else is in the ranking, right? I mean, it makes sense. And I think amongst the diehard UFC fans, I feel like he's actually getting a little bit of a following. Oh, I think so too, because obviously UFC is really putting promotion behind him right now. Right, you know. And so, and of course, Kai Asakura brought new fans to the UFC, obviously, in terms of Japanese fans. And and flyweights, these recently having a good fights, you know. So next up on Taira, Mia Nakamura was last night's Kazama, who got knocked out on the slam. Now, what did you thought about that fight?
I mean, that's up there with Rampage Jackson and Ricardo Arona. That's one of the most brutal slams. And that follow-up punch was pretty devastating, too. Now, I know that I think they reported that CT scans all came back fine, but I think sometimes fighters, you got to learn when to let go.
Yeah, but here's what it is. Now, what do you think about that fight until that point?
I mean, he had the triangle choke locked on. I mean, he was doing all right.
Yeah, he was doing okay. He was like, trying to execute the leg locks and arm bars, right? You know, this is what, you know, obviously I was there and I'm the one who went to the hospital with him. And, you know, he was out for about 50 seconds.
Yeah.
But after that, his eye opened, but he still couldn't move. So doctor let him lay there for what, like another 3-4 minutes or so. So he was still on the ground, you know, when they were doing the post-fight interview to the Smith and blah, blah, blah. And, but he was already talking in the octagon, say he has no neck pains, no business, nothing. But again, importantly, he said he doesn't remember anything. It's just very common with a knockout, a fighter who's being knocked out. You know, he doesn't remember even coming to the venue and blah, blah, blah. Now, but in ambulance, he still remember things. And at the ER, when we were waiting for the results of the CT, he finally remembered a lot of things. And this is what he says, that, you know, he has a really good punching power. And some of the pound he took, yes, he did cause a little bit of damage. But in terms of grappling power and all kinds of stuff, Kazama felt that he's way more stronger. It's very interesting, right? The way he sees it. I remember, like, I couldn't believe it. But again, you know, where he fights, he realized that the next time when he go for triangle, same thing will happen.
Right.
They'll try to pick him up and they'll slam it. So you would have to figure out what to do.
Well, sometimes people feel like they're getting picked up, don't they kind of like loop their arm around the guy's leg to keep themselves down? Or, but no, it was very brutal. I'm glad to hear he's doing okay, because I mean, unfortunately for him, that's going to be played in a lot of highlight reels in the future.
And not only that, that is his third time being knocked out. Yeah, and that's something I have to really think and talk to him about it. You know, he got 2 fights left on the contract, so he'll still get one more fight probably. You know, but he should take a maybe 45 days, 6 days break, minimum. You know.
Yeah, no, I mean he should take that. I mean that has to be like almost the equivalent of getting in a car accident. What happened to him? He needs to take a little time off.
Yeah, I know he needs it, right?
I mean, how old is he? He's only 28. He can afford to take a couple months off.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, well, it's not like he's making good money, but, you know, he's all right. So, you know.
Yeah.
Half a year off, you know.
Yeah.
Then next up after him is the next week is Kai Asakura against Tim Elliott. Now,
this is
what
a very
on this?
This is a very important fight for Kai because, I mean, Tim Elliott, longtime UFC veteran, but he's an older guy. I think he's 38.
Yes.
He's shorter than Kai, shorter reach. So, and I think what I looked it up. He's ranked 11th in the division.
Because exactly.
So my thoughts are, if Kai doesn't win this fight, it's not looking good for his UFC career.
Right, and I'm pretty sure. I'm sure that the UFC likes Elliott a lot because he's a long-time octagon fighter. But I think they would want to see Kai win, right? I mean,
no, I think that's. I mean, they're not. This isn't match fixing by any means, but they gave Kai an immediate title shot. Now they're giving him an older guy, probably not at his prime, with a name who's been in the UFC a long time. So a win over him will mean something, and it's a fight that Kai should be able to win.
Yeah, I mean, should be able to win, right?
The one thing that kind of stuck out to me, though, is that Tim Elliott's only been finished by strikes once his entire career.
Yeah, exactly. I'm telling you, Tim Elliott is a very tough fighter.
Yeah, exactly.
He's very good, and he ain't stupid to go punches with him. So, and he has to identify Kai's weakness, which is definitely not a striking game, right? So every part of the non-striking game is his weakness, I think, almost. So
yeah,
I think this will actually sort of really reveal Kai's real ability as an MMA fighter.
Well, I mean, unless he can finish him, which, I mean, if he does that, that's impressive, considering he's barely ever been finished by strikes. It's going to really show what does Kai's stamina look like? What does he look like in the third round? Because we've seen Tim Elliott there a couple times. We haven't seen Kai there that often.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you're next going to score amazing numbers next week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
the other weeks, right? And I'm pretty sure Dana and Hunter Campbell recognize that already. So I'm pretty sure they want to get some good return on investment.
Right.
So he's sort of like a Takanori Gomi back then.
Yeah.
And after this, up is Rei Tsuruya.
Right.
Yeah, in Shanghai.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad for Ray. He got shoved onto like a road to UFC card as like a main event, didn't he?
It's co-main. It's against our client. So it's an opportunity for our client to showcase him in the Japanese MMA market. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good opportunity for him, but for Ray, I just feel kind of like, can't get off the road to UFC card. What's going on?
I know, but again, way I encourage my client is then, hey, listen, you're in co-main and you're with a bunch of semi-finalists throughout road to UFC, blah blah blah, and that means you have a higher possibility that you could win performance bonus.
See, there you go.
Well, because they shouldn't, make those RTU semi-final available for bonuses.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be fair, right? So
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see, right? That's my way to encourage my clients,
Yeah.
And I will predict right now they're always going to be a last-minute fight changes because medicals, all kinds of stuff. And very interesting about China is that even though you're Chinese, if you don't live in Shanghai, you need a visa to fight.
Oh, I remember because I think it was I went to Shanghai like 15 years ago, and if you weren't from Shanghai in China, you still needed a visa to travel to Shanghai.
Exactly right. So
yeah.
It's funny. I wouldn't say funny in a way. So let's say if somebody scratches, and usually you look for a Chinese fighter, right? Because locally, no visa. It's not like that in China. It's going to be very difficult for UFC to look for actual fighters in Shanghai. So meaning, Japanese fighters, American fighters, they might even get a visa faster. It's very weird,
It's a counterintuitive.
Yeah. It's very. So, that being said, there's a very good stack of Japanese fighters, like you mentioned. Now, do you still think Naoki should go right now?
No, I mean, if you can get the Pettis fight in December, I would do that. But if that fight can't happen, I would probably go to the UFC.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that should be the right way, right? I mean, and then it's
because Rising has to be able. Because if money isn't the concern, the primary concern, Rising needs to offer him fights that make sense to build up his name value on the international market, which is what he's focused on. And if they can't do that, then I think he'd just go directly.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. And I think Shadolaf extended like 2 fights as a champion, right? That's what I think they built. So. And if we do go in that direction, then maybe I will ask for what it's the same as his deal, 2-fight extension and see kind of stuff. Then he might get to fight Pettis and Sabatero.
So that'd be good.
Win, finish those 2, and I think that's you are under a different light, right? Especially from the UFC's point of view.
Absolutely.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this: the general election of Rizin Flyweight Grand Prix. Now, Rizin has sent an invitations to various influencers, to MMA journalists, to all kinds of stuff. And they were having a so-called election day on August 19th. They're asking 5 fighters that won the first round to come in and make a speech like a politician. And they say about 3-minute speech. So Shinyu's like, 3 minutes is kind of long. What do we talk right here, right? I mean, so now me and Shinyu's like, I intensely studying Ichiro Suzuki's speech right now. Because he had a great speech, right, in the Cooperstown and in Mariners, So, I mean, maybe we should try to get something out of that. I don't know, but this is pretty weird, strange. What do you think about this?
My initial reaction is this just seems like ripe for fixing. Like, who's counting these votes? It just seems ripe to put whoever they want to put in. But that aside, if this is legitimately done, this seems incredibly strange because I just feel really bad for the fighter that's going to be screwed out of this.
But here's what it is, though. The fighter who doesn't get picked, will fight in the reserve fight in September.
I know, but
if he wins, he will be the reserve fight for the final. So he'll get ready, cut weight. If he doesn't fight, he will still make full purse.
I know, but it's still not what they signed up for at the beginning of the tournament.
I know, exactly. Thinking they can win that big prize money, right? I mean,
right, absolutely. So I mean, Shinyu's young. He's probably the least known of the existing members.
Mm-hmm.
But part of me is also like, Ogi and Motoya have had their shots. Let's see some of the younger guys go forward and see what they can do. But yeah, I mean, I think this is weird. And the fact that they're having influencers vote as well as media also seems weird. It's all very strange.
You know what, Charlie? If you're still living in Japan, I bet you got that invitation too. Now, let me ask you this. You can tell me this, because since you're not voting, if you were to vote, who are you going to eliminate? Who will be that one fighter?
I would eliminate Ogikubo.
Why?
Because I think based off, he beat a tough opponent, but I think if I'm trying to make entertaining fights, he would be the one. He's just based off his performance in classic Ogi, just grinding out a decision. I think I would put the people that are more prone to trying to finish the fights in the fights.
You know, I have to agree, and I think there are a lot of fighters I spoke to kind of had the similar opinion.
Yeah,
and Ogikubo already had his days too.
Absolutely.
Fair for him from his point of view, right? To be said that, because he's still winning fights.
Right.
Yeah, and
he beat a very tough guy, but
exactly. I'm so impressed that he picked Torres. He himself picked him, right, to fight Torres. So I mean, that was a very good move for him, and he won that fight. So in that sense, he kind of deserved to stay in the tournament. But hey, you know, is he producing an exciting fight, right? You know,
Ito is always exciting. Shinyu almost had like a perfect, flawless victory, and Motoya has been. I mean, he was brawling back and forth with Hiroya. They put on an exciting fight. So that's just based off of that alone. I think those are the three that, those I would pick. And then I wouldn't pick Ogi just because he wrestled and ground out a win, which is kind of what he already does. Plus, he fought Horiguchi all those times. He fought Kai all those times. I mean, as like you said, he's already had his shot.
Right. And I think Rizin would want to create a new star, a new talent, right? So it is always the Grand Prix or any kind of tournament in a tent have some kind of happening, and that creates new star talents, whatever. So yeah, it makes sense to ask nicely or to step aside, know, which is kind of unfair to him, but
Yeah, no, I agree. But I mean, when you look at everyone involved, it's the one that makes the most sense to me.
Right. And what's so funny is like Shinryu is, like how he's tried to trash talk, but he's quite not there because he's really not that type.
Yeah.
Because of his half butt trash talk, he gets into some argument on social media with some fighters. And now he's all concerned about, like, do you think that's going to affect my voting? And even like Asakura is talking in public that, Shinryu became super nice immediately after that win. Because he doesn't know who's going to vote, So
it's I mean, I guess one good thing is it's creating more attention in it. I just don't think that this Grand Prix needed more attention. I thought it was already exciting enough. It was the highlight of the year so far.
Yeah, but you know what? What's so funny is this: that I guess they're not telling those guys who received the invitations that exactly what's going to happen. So I don't really know, the system, how it's going to be voted, and all kinds of stuff. So yes, but Sakakibara thinks, yes, it's a good tournament to begin with. They announced the first round. They did the first round, so they had the first wave of good attentions they got from the fans. But Sakakibara felt he needs one more wave, to push it, and that one wave was this election.
Yeah, but I just feel bad for whoever's going to get screwed.
Oh, I know. It's so funny on a public interview when they asked Asakura, so what do you think about this change in Flyweight Grand Prix? He immediately asked, it's crazy. So they know they're doing something very not in the norm,
Right.
So, but again, that's how I guess they get attention from the fans.
Yeah. I think especially inside Japan, it also increases like fan involvement, and they've always tried to buddy up close with influencers, and this makes the influencers more involved.
Right, and they're actually trying to bring in more new fans, right? Obviously, yeah. I mean, that's really good. And all right, besides this Grand Prix, they have already announced 2 more shows, which is September Rizin show in Nagoya.
Yes,
and then 1 more in Kobe. Now, this arena in Nagoya called IG Arena is a brand new arena. Came up, and it's like a real American NBA kind of style arena, brand new. And it's probably the biggest, I think, in terms of indoor arena in Nagoya at this point.
Oh wow, okay.
Oh yeah. Now, what do you think about this matchup, featherweight championship? They immediately brought in Viktor Klosnik to fight Shadov.
I think there must be something in Shadov's contract where they have to keep him busy.
I think so. He would have to be, right?
Because this probably, in my mind, if I was Rizin, isn't the matchup I'd want to make. But as part of keeping him, they probably have to keep him busy. They probably every so often they have to offer him a fight. And unfortunately, there wasn't anyone else available in the division.
Yeah, exactly. Because usually when Rizin brings in non-Japanese fighter, they tend to give him 1 or 2 showcase fight, right?
Right.
Against a relatively lesser opponent,
Or they also, correct me if I'm wrong, they don't normally do a lot of foreigner versus foreigner fights. They usually try to build someone up or put a Japanese guy against them.
Right.
But yeah, what's the guy's name? Dotsic was injured or couldn't do it. Was that what the thing was?
Yeah, he was injured, right?
Because I know that's the fight they actually wanted to make happen. And everyone else was in the division had already fought so recently that they weren't able to make the fight. So I guess this is what they had to do.
Right. So now, if Shadov have to fight again in New Year's Eve, who will he fight, right?
Well, they need to book some people quickly for this Kobe show to create some contenders. Right.
Or just straightly Mikuru, because he won 2 in a row, right? 1 against former champ.
That's a waste, though.
It is. It's a waste. I wouldn't do that too. But again, that would be last fight of Shadov. So it's like feeding Mikuru on the last fight of a contract before he goes to UFC.
Well, I didn't realize this is Carlson's 4th fight. This will be his 5th fight in Rising.
I think so. Yes.
Yes, he's been there a while. It's just this kind of still to me kind of came out of nowhere. But
but he didn't really promote him because that division was not really happening back then, and it's not like he was a regular, because I guess he had a contract in America too, right? It's obviously so.
But to me, what makes more sense to Mikuru is on New Year's Eve after he's redeemed himself on his tours to do the Ren fight.
Yeah, if the Ren can make it on time, he made it not make it. So, and if that's the case, then they would have to find somebody, and Mikuru is asking for Keramov. But I'm not sure if it's going to happen, at this point,
Yeah.
So, who knows? Then knowing, Rizin, they might really match Mikuru against Shadov,
Well, that's a fight then where for Mikuru, it's just a no-lose situation. Either wins or he gets what people think would happens.
Yeah, I know. So, all right, so that's that. And what the other fights on this card? This show that I talk about is Sato versus Sabatero. Obviously, the winner will fight for the next fight, and
this will be a much bigger step up in competition for Sabatello. So we can see how he does against higher level competition. If he does well here, I could see a title shot being next.
Yeah, for sure, and it was be the New Year's probably. We'll see, and no, but more than anything, I'm actually a little bit excited about the Souza versus Poirier because I always like Poirier. He's a good fighter, and he's the type of guy who will try to not, go into the ground with him. Obviously, probably right.
But the problem is that Souza's been looking better and better on his feet.
I know.
But Poirier's a great fighter. I thought his last performance was a really great performance, actually.
Yeah, but that was against Yamato, who probably didn't really train. I mean, I'm hearing all kinds of stories that Yamato is now banned from any gym in Thailand, so he's only training at the Muay Thai gym, who doesn't really do any MMA. You know.
Oh wow.
And the father still somehow believes that, below lightweight you don't make any money, which is not true. You know.
Yeah, well, that beside, it was still like a flawless victory for him.
Yeah, I know.
It was a much needed win after the Luis Gustavo fight. So I mean, yeah, he's looking good.
Yeah, and I want to touch on this subject here since we mentioned Poirier. That there are more than there's 3 former MMA fighters ran for national election.
Yes.
Yeah. And the one was Yuta Kubo, the current Rizin fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, I don't know if you noticed this, but in Japanese election, you go to the street and on top of the car, you start making public speech, right? I mean, it's really nice, but,
was it Poirier out there with him?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Poirier got up on the stage, on the car, took his shirts off, and started yelling at people. I mean, that didn't help much in terms of his election, right?
For those who don't know, he did not win.
No, he did not win. And the more than anything, the biggest shock, I think, to most of the Japanese fans, MMA fans, that the Genki Sudo didn't make it.
Well, I had heard from my wife. I think he's actually been in a little bit of trouble recently.
Yes.
Because he's been didn't he parties around parties?
Yes.
And I think he's made some crazy comments.
Yes, he made a crazy comments like he's having a communication from the people in the space.
Yeah.
When you start talking something like that, it's not that easy for him to win the election.
Even in Japan.
Yeah. And, a lot of people didn't realize it, but remember this boy, Riku Shimizu? Who was the, let me see. Stop screen. He was a former fighter for, I think, Rings, Pancras. He also ran.
Okay. Did he lose as well?
He lost big time. So in the Japanese national election, you give this deposit, like a little bit over 20 grand. If you don't get certain vote, you don't get that deposit back. And he didn't get enough votes, so he won't get his deposit back.
Too bad.
Yeah, it's too bad. But I don't know what's this fascination towards the elections. But in Japan, there's a lack of politicians, as you probably know, right? And there's so much more seats than compared to the American, political system. So when you go to the countryside, it's just not enough people who wants to be a politician. So, like for example, Asakura, he's like a city councilman.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a man who lost his computer with the video footage of him, having a sex with another woman.
Yeah. Well, as long as it's out there, I guess. As long as it's out there.
Again, I think his father was the principal of a school in that area, and his uncle was a former politician. So, in a Japanese way, when you're related to that kind of a local power, you tend to win relatively easily. So,
interesting.
I think Riku also had that kind of hope, but he didn't make it, unfortunately.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm disappointed that Sara played 0 part in Yuta Kubo's election campaign. Nothing.
I mean, starting to think their divorce might actually be real.
Yeah, exactly. Right, because I thought that would be the stage that Sara-chan probably would want to go, right? I mean,
well, I follow her on Instagram. She doesn't post that often. She might be living in Australia.
Oh, really? I don't follow her. So I don't
I follow. I think she might actually be living in Australia.
Really? So she is really maybe divorced. Or
I think they're really divorced.
That's too bad. But the Kubo declared that since he lost the elections, he's going to take a time off to figure out what to do next, which I think is stupid. What choice does he have? Is he going to run for another election? He should go back to fight.
Yeah, he's still got some fights left in him. He should do that.
Right. Now, let me ask you this. I noticed something very interesting. The word politician versus word lawmakers. Now, many Japanese politicians, they don't make laws.
Right.
they don't do that. They're just reading a script created by the
Yeah.
government workers. And I'll tell this on the record. I won't name names. I know one of these government workers who is in charge of this senator who used to be an idol singer.
Oh, yes.
I won't say name. There's a couple, so don't specify. And I asked this guy, so how is she? And this is his answer. Oh, she was a child star ever since, when she was young. So she's very good about memorizing my transcript from beginning to the end. That was his, So that tells, right, the way how they think about the politician. But anyway, my question is this. I noticed that when you look at the Japanese movie on subtitles on Netflix or any movies, if the dialogue is something like, oh, the politics sucks, blah, 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 you're a politician, they use the word politics or politician. But if the dialogue is something like, oh, this guy's great, oh, he's doing this, what a great politician, and they tend to use the word lawmakers. I mean, what is the impression from like native English people's point of view? I mean, politician versus lawmakers.
Well, it doesn't. I think politician for some people probably has kind of a negative nuance, kind of
exactly right. It's a negative nuance, right? Isn't it? The lawmakers are more positive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but again, majority of politicians in Japan does not have a concept of making laws.
That's interesting. Yeah,
it is. I just noticed that. I look at the bullet train explosions. Look at the subtitles. That's where I kind of realized,
that's interesting.
Yeah. But anyway, so at the end, let's touch on this because of sad news. 2 Japanese boxers passed away from the same event. Yeah,
it was Shigetoshi Kotari and Hiromasa Urakawa, I believe.
Exactly.
Both young guys. I think one, Kotari fought to a draw and then collapsed after the fight. And I believe Urakawa was knocked out in his fight, and that's when he got injured. But they both had suffered hematomas, and despite surgeries, died. And I believe someone made a comment on the video asking what they think the result of this will be. I don't really think there will be that much of an impact on boxing in Japan. I think the general approach to it is that people know that combat sports aren't safe.
Right. I mean, it's their head. I mean,
because so many people do judo. There's so many judo injuries because so many people, there's still people that do it. They're not people doing it. There's going to be injuries. So they have judo injuries. I think they just know that people get injured in boxing. So while it is sad and it got some attention in Japan, unfortunately, because they're not super famous or anything, I don't think it'll really impact anything.
Yeah, exactly. And that's same for, I mentioned earlier about, strike to the back of the head, to the back to the spine. And why do you allow a slam, right? I mean, it's a direct attack to your back of the head and spine. Yeah. But that's not going to change, right? I mean, anytime soon.
Yeah. I mean, that one pro wrestler, Takayama, got paralyzed in the ring. Yeah. They didn't do anything about that.
Right.
I mean, you're talking about a country that barely has athletic commissions. So,
I mean, do you think there's a way to prevent this from happening again, or you just have to deal with it since it's the nature of the fight sport?
I mean, I think maybe there's something you could do. I don't know the exact details of what happened in these fights, but I think with a sport like boxing, this is always going to be some element of it.
Right.
This risk will always be there, I assume.
Yeah. That's too bad for these guys. And hopefully, I mean, this won't happen again, but it's very hard to prevent this from not happening.
That's when Boom Boom Mancini killed Kim, I think the reaction to that was they made championship fights 12 rounds instead of 15. And that might have been the only change they made, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. There's no more 15, only 12. Yeah. I did reduce to 3 rounds. That's about it.
And that was an incredibly high-profile fight with a death in it. So, I mean, I don't see this really having much change on anything.
Right. So, I guess we just have to hope this won't happen again, and then each fighter will sharpen their skills more. I mean, I don't know if that's going to prevent this, but yeah, I mean, it's sad that this has happened.
Kind of a freak accident that 2 deaths happened at the same event.
Yeah, same event. I mean, the promo must feel like SHIT, right? I mean,
yeah.
So that's too bad. Now, I think, did we cover all the topics?
No, so I wanted to go back and talk about, there's a couple of fights when we were like having some technical issues from Super Rising that I still want to talk about.
All right.
So I want to talk about, first off, Moetti Suda versus Noel.
Oh, okay. All right, go ahead. Yeah.
So I know there was some criticism of this fight because Moetti Suda is like practically a 30-fight veteran, yes, and Noel is like probably 4 fights in. That being said, with Noel making her debut, there's not a lot of opponents that can meet her level who are also rising caliber fighters. Moetti Suda's 20 years old, Noel's 17, so it's probably the closest they could do. And I mean, it's not a charity project. If you want to fight in Rising, you have to fight a Rising level fighter.
Sure.
And Moetti Suda was coming off the biggest win of her career. She choked out Aika Hamasaki at Deep Jewels. And then right here, she submitted her with a beautiful armbar. I mean, for those that haven't watched Moetti Suda fight, this is classic Moetti Suda. She does whatever it takes to clinch with you, and then she'll just go for any submission she can until she finally gets one. And so people were commenting that they thought she was going to burn her legs out in the opening round. And I'm like, you guys haven't seen her fight before. She's going to do this for the entire fight.
Right.
Now, so it was kind of a high profile win because I think people in Japan especially were kind of interested to see how Noel would do, because she's kind of like the new junior high school student, comes out in her schoolgirl uniform thing, kind of Asakura style fighter they're doing. But Moetti winning the fight and having the Hamasaki fight, she has now been scheduled to fight Saudi Oshima in September in Deep.
Right.
And it has been heavily insinuated and stated the winner of that will fight Seika Izawa at the end of the year.
Right. If Reina cannot get ready by then, and she probably won't. Right.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
So Moetti Suda, I mean, great win for her, but more importantly, she secured a rematch with Saudi Oshima. They fought before. Oshima won, but Moetti's older, more physical now, so it could be a different fight. And the winner of that will fight Izawa. So, I mean, this was actually a fight with big implications, because if she would have lost that fight, there's no way that would have happened.
Right. And finally, maybe we can hope Rising to establish another set of women's either super atom or strawweight division, because with Machi Fukuda and Fukuda and even Hamasaki, and I personally think they should go and offer girls like Miki Motono and Ari Matsuda still. And they can establish pretty good division there.
I was talking to WMMA Scene Now. We did a video together with Andrew from We Are Rising. And I'm like, if they signed Miki Motono, Arisa Matsuda, Karen, and like Hamasaki and Kate Lotus, they could have a strawweight division right there.
Yeah.
Like with Machi. So
right. Although it does kind of look like Deep Jewels, but still it's okay. But
no, I mean, yeah, I mean, but still, it's just, if they wanted that, they could do what they're currently doing and cycle them back and forth.
And I think they should pick 1 or 2 non-Japanese from somewhere else too, either America, Brazil, or something, to just add a little bit more colors and competition.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the clear example is Bo Ming just got released from her 1 championship contract. If she's not going to the UFC and Rising hasn't called her, I don't know what they're doing over there.
Yeah. And also Sari Park too. I mean, they should bring her back. Yeah. I mean, she's not getting a call from UFC,
But I mean, Ming Bo is to beat Weili Zhang. Has pretty good record. I mean, just bring her over for 150. I would bring her over and have her fight Izawa immediately.
Yeah, I wonder what she's doing now. I mean, she's still under the contract with anybody?
No, they just announced that she's out of her 1 championship contract.
Okay, yeah, then they should sign her. But again, maybe she might be asking too much money.
Well, I think she's probably, my guess would be she wants to go to the UFC, because I know she trains in the US. But you mentioned someone else. Who did you mention?
I mean, the UFC, they haven't really signed any strawweights for a while. I think they have to go through the Contender Series.
You mentioned Siwoo Park. I think Siwoo Park is fighting Machi at the next Deep Jewels.
Yes.
For the strawweight title.
Yes. So finally she understands that she ain't getting called from the UFC.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, but so I think you made a good point, though. There are foreign women out there they could bring in.
more than many. I'm telling you, I was more than you. You know. So I mean,
speaking of which, I don't want to talk about the fight because the fight is meaningless. Before her fight, Seika Izawa took the mic and made some comments about how like it was disrespectful of her opponent to miss weight again. So she's going to beat her so bad that she never gets invited back to Rising again. And then in the Rising confession, you see her talking to her and she says, like, I'm sorry about what I said. I was just trying to create attention for the fight and build up anticipation. Because it's interesting because Moetti Suda, after her fight, took the mic and said, like, support me. Let's make women's MMA exciting again. And Seika Izawa is even the same thing to Shin backstage. So I get the impression that even they realize that women's MMA and Rising has just completely crashed and burned, and something needs to be done. So Izawa's trying to I think she's almost trying to be like a heel. She's trying to make like crazy comments to try to create some level of excitement. I just don't think it's working.
No, it's not working at all. And the bottom line is because she hasn't fought anybody tough. I mean, Rising failed to bring in a suitable opponent for her. And
she fought
not bringing her values up at all.
She fought Siwoo Park twice, and both those fights, Siwoo Park almost won.
Exactly. It wasn't. Yeah, I thought she won the last one too. So I mean,
my wife can't explain it. She rubs my wife the wrong way, and I think she either rubs people the wrong way or they don't care. I don't know if there's a lot of people that particularly are her fan, so to speak.
It seems like she does. I don't know. I'm not a female, but it seems like Izawa's actions or word kind of rubs female fans in the wrong way. Right? I don't know what it is. I guess I know a lot of female fans who just doesn't like her.
That's the impression I got too.
Yeah, I wonder, huh?
Before we go on,
she's not fighting anybody tough, so she's not getting stronger for sure in the philosophy of sports. If you're fighting Trump, or if you're playing with a bad player, you're not going to get better.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think some people are calling it her version of the Bum of the Month Club. So,
it's too bad though. She's a talent, and I think fan kind of deserves to see a better match. No, she's being tested. I
mean, don't get me wrong. She's a very skilled fighter.
Very, yes.
She's a great talent. It's just being wasted on these matchups.
Right, and we kind of like to see if she's 105 or 115. We don't even know that, right? And they cannot be really like insisting on this Reina fight.
No,
I have a feeling Reina doesn't maybe not even want to fight her. What's the point? Maybe want to do a retirement fight with somebody else and go, right? So,
and she doesn't need any more of these retirement fights.
No, and why would take the real tough fight and get beat and go, check out of the sport, right?
If I was her, I would take the Kana Watanabe approach and just Rin Nakai is playing difficult. I'm just going to move on. And
I almost forgot about Rin Nakai until you mentioned. That's right. Yeah, exactly. That's what she needs to do.
Plus, and as long as she's being a women's MMA, I want to mention Karen is fighting Salt for the third time coming up. So Pancrase continues to go. And your old client, I think Mizuki, finally has a fight scheduled.
Oh, yeah, I know. Finally. In December, I think in Abu Dhabi, right?
Right, yeah.
Oh, like fourth fight in 4 years kind of thing, and can't blame her for his injuries, but, we'll see,
It'll be great to see her back in the cage. It is kind of interesting that her close friend and training partner Kanako just fought in Abu Dhabi, and now she's also fighting in Abu Dhabi.
Let's see. Here we go. I think there you go. Why did Kanako Murata fight in UAE instead of Rizin? And
I think that I forget her name, but the lady she fought in Rising, while some described her as a can crusher, had a pretty good record, and she might have been on the UFC's radar. So I get the impression she is trying to get back into the UFC.
Right. And no, she had offered to fight in Invicta. She said no because she thought if Invicta, the UFC won't pick her up. And, here's the problem about this, though. Do you really think UFC is going to pick her up after a win or two?
No, she's going to have to do some. I think after getting cut by the promotion, you're going to have to put, I'd say, at least 3 or 4 wins together that are impressive.
Yeah, at least. Right. And do you think that's going to happen in UAE Warriors? I mean, she already took almost a year break, right? And this is I think I mentioned before, but one handful of Japanese fighters became so-called addicted to UFC.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to do anything else but UFC. Like when you really think
it's almost a badge of honor, because in Japan, if you're a UFC fighter and going where they almost like it's like a title for your name, like UFC fighter Kanako Murata.
Right, but if you're released and if you're no longer a UFC fighter, what's the point?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to name names here, but there are some fighters who got released without even winning one.
Yeah.
So what's the point of like really insisting on that? And I see that from the same character behavior. I see that from those fighters who didn't win in road to UFC.
Yeah.
Just because you experience that stage, they only think about going back to that stage. But that's not UFC. And
right.
Yeah, it's not like you can go back and you can't wait around for 1 year. And it's stupid, I think. It's just better to make yourself active.
Right.
No, like for example, that's why I'm very glad to see Ando in Rizin, because I always thought that Ando was a great talent, but he was one of those guys who just would not fight for Rizin or big Japanese promotion. Somehow they think that will put a dirt on their resume.
Dude, he looked really good, so I'm glad he's there.
Yeah, exactly. And so in that same sense, I don't want Arisa Matsuda or Miki Motono to waste their career sitting around.
Yeah.
Because for female, there's no guarantee they'll do a road to UFC.
I think the problem is in Pancrase, I think the fact that a Shuto fighter was holding the championship, who was fighting in every promotion but Pancrase, was kind of slowing the division down. But now that they're bringing her back, hopefully that division starts going again, and Miki can start getting some fights going.
Right. And, I don't know. I feel like they should be fighting more often. And it's not like Rizin will tie you down for a long time anyway. They probably will do one fight contract with you if you're a first-timer. So
I kind of wish that Rizin did what they did back in the beginning, where they would put on fights even if that weight didn't have a championship. I mean, why would there's fighters in the country like Miki? Why not just bring her over and have her fight in Rizin? I don't care if there's no strawweight title in Rizin. Just give her some fights on this big stage, and if she takes off, great. You guys can build a division around her.
Yeah, and for her, it would be a good experience to fight tougher opponents on the bigger stage, right? It will give some experience, and if they cannot make her active, then you can always try to jump to the road to UFC if they do it again, right? I mean,
she'd be great. Bring her over and have her fight Machi.
I know. Again, I'm telling you. I mean, till this day, I always talk to some Japanese fighters still, in the UFC, telling me that if I ever get a release, I'll just retire. I mean, why do you talk about that now? You're like 20, 6, 7, whatever. It's very interesting. It's only a Japanese who talks to me in that kind of manner. Like Brazilian is the completely opposite. It really doesn't matter. If you get released, they'll fight anywhere.
You'll be like Bigfoot Silva fighting in Russia.
It's really not the smartest move, but you know what I mean, right? They're completely opposite. So and one of the listeners says it's time for Izawa to go to UFC. Agree, Izawa should be in UFC Hope. I mean,
I think if she wants to go to the UFC, she needs to take a couple 52-kilo fights in Japan, and they need to bring over, like, if she wants to go to the UFC, sign Ming Bo now, because she's a 115er from one championship. And if Seika Izawa destroys her, then yes, she should go to the UFC.
Right, but in today's UFC, they might even still tell her to go through a contender series.
Well, I mean, not even that. I mean, just
that, right? I mean, they told Mokav to go back there.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about whether or not she's able to fight fighters that big, because she's never fought true.
Yeah, exactly. I would like to see that against a girl who walks around the 125 and cuts to 115 kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. She's never fought someone like that.
And with a real good both striking and wrestling skills.
Right, exactly.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, I would love to see Izawa go to UFC. And I think there's a couple of points where do you think she will be willing to let go of the money she's making there? You know what I mean? Like, she will be taking a huge pay cut.
Plus, I mean, it's never going to happen. But I mean, Kanako Murata versus Izawa and Rizin would be a big fight.
That too, but I bet you Kanako is one of those fighters who would just refuse to sign with the Rizin.
Yeah.
Thinking if she does that, she will lose a chance to go back to UFC, which is not true at all.
Which
right?
is crazy because I'd imagine if you were managing her, you'd be like, oh, she just won a world championship in front of 50,000 people. Pretty big deal.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So, but that's why in the same way that, yeah, of course, Izawa, he should probably stick around maybe a couple more years in Rising, but she may have to make the decision in a couple of years if they cannot establish that division. She'll be wasting her career, not testing her skills.
If she wants to fight at 52 kilo, she needs to start building her. She's not a muscular lady. She needs to start building her physique up now while she's still young.
I actually told Saeki about that like a few years ago. She should start building now, little by little. So maybe 2-3 years later, she'll be ready to fight in 115. Because it's not that easy to bring that up in a weight class up.
Because I mean, she doesn't really. She eats like candy and doesn't really cut weight. She needs to be walking around in like 125, 130 pounds in shape, and then cut down to 115.
With more muscle, and you know what I mean. Yeah. That's the more endurance and everything else. So I don't know exactly. So right now, I think she's making really good money. She's a star. Being treated as a star and. Facing a bunch of easy opponents.
I wouldn't. She's a smart lady. I wouldn't put it past her that she only brings up the UFC just to get attention, and because she's a JTT. But if she's getting paid well at Rising and has so much control over who she fights and everything, and the backstage politics, and she's able to just enjoy the position she's in, I don't see why she'd ever want to leave.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll give you one bold prediction. I'm still seeing PFL signing 105 girls.
Oh, really?
The only possibility, I think, I wouldn't say only, but highest possibility is look at the relationship with Rizin and PFL. How Rizin basically manages Kana Watanabe.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the Izumi was picked up through Rizin, right? So they were talking. And they would be allowed to go fighters go back and forth. So if PFL is doing 105 tournament, we may see Izawa there.
That would make the most sense because, I mean...
she does, actually,
Kana Watanabe has to be getting paid way more than 99% of female fighters in Japan just by fighting in the PFL.
Except Izawa and Reina.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, they make good money, yeah. So... But again, in the PFL, if you win, it's $500,000, so you can't beat that. But...
I mean... in a couple of years, it might be 250,000. They might keep having it.
I know they should do it now. The point is, so that's my prediction. Actually, if we were to see Izawa in the North American soil or North American promotion, I would have to say PFL may have the chance. It may be the highest possibility.
I know it's not Scott Coker, but if PFL is able to create a relationship and fill the void that Bellator was, it would be so beneficial to both promotions.
Mm-hmm. But again, it's not like PFL is doing very well now, right? I mean, it's not. I'm not really hearing.
Well, I heard their Africa show did very good.
Yeah, and I tell you this: that as many people have started to write that the number of MMA fights are declining rapidly in America, Brazil, Russia, everywhere except Japan, and I can still see that period.
Well, didn't I also read? It might not be accurate, but I read that ESPN reported essentially that the UFC pay-per-view numbers were way down.
Way down, yes. They're very unhappy about it. And it seems like Dana is letting Hunter kind of handle the UFC. He's still trying to promote that power slap.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't know. And I've heard the rumors in this past week, and they're still trying to do a boxing event.
Yeah.
20+ boxing events next year. So, I don't know where this thing going, but my biggest fear is this, that the oil money, so-called money coming from that part of the world, is not going to continue, right, indefinitely.
No.
So within 2-3 years, I have a feeling we're going to have a big depression in fight sports.
Well, the UFC has been in a superstar drought. They had no one came that really picked up the Conor McGregor mantle, and they need someone to take that spot. I mean, they can survive, but...
Yeah. You know what? Here's my real sad thing is like when most valuable production was in town, I had lunch with Cynthia, and I realized that many people who used to work for MMA is working for them. I see people from WEC days and stuff like that. So it's obviously they're kind of shifting towards boxing. And the sad fact is when I ask them, hey, how you doing, blah, 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 majority of them say, oh, I don't watch UFC anymore. Which is kind of sad, right?
I mean,
these are the
I understand why they
hardcore fans.
I understand why they did it, but those Apex shows really just sap the enjoyment out of an event.
Fighting in storage.
Yeah.
I wish they quit that. And I think
it made sense during COVID, but now that COVID's over, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but I think financially it makes sense for them, right?
Right, yeah.
So, all right, so I guess, did we cover everything today?
I think we did, yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. So let's do it again try to do it again in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good.
Yeah, all right. And thank you for listening, everybody. Yeah, and good night.